Is it likely that Donald Trump was fully aware and had every intent of working with Russia to help make sure that he could win the presidency at all costs?
And so I would rather not answer that specific question other than just to tell you that Mr. Trump's desire to win would have him work with anyone. I am ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
There's only one wrong with that statement. His remorse is non-existent. He just debated a member of Congress saying, I really didn't do anything wrong with the false bank things that I'm guilty of and going to prison for.
Mr. Jordan, that's not what I said, and you know that that's not what I said. I said I pled guilty, and I take responsibility for my actions.
Did you know about the $130,000 payments from the Did you know about the payments?
Later on, I knew. Later on. He didn't know the details of this until we knew the details.
Shame on you, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman.
Not what I said.
Mr. Chairman.
That's not what I said. What I said is I took responsibility and I take responsibility. What I was doing is explaining to the gentleman that his facts are inaccurate. I take responsibility for my mistakes.
And we take responsibility for this next half hour. I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman.
And this is NewsRap, live at 5. Well, welcome back, man.
It's good to be back.
It's great to have you back. I missed you last week.
I missed being here. So,
okay.
Sorry for my absence.
That
happens sometimes.
No apologies necessary. They do happen.
Yeah.
And we're just happy to be with you guys again.
And we're going to get the comments
pretty
real soon.
Pretty exciting week,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah. It looks like it's kind of ramping up a little bit from here, Bear.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think the Democrats are going to let it drop now.
No, Cummings is talking about subpoenas and all kind of things.
I know. Not impeachment.
No.
And I think that's okay. I think right now the goal is to build a case, and you do that brick by brick, and you do that with all of the tools that you have. And at some point, you know, my litmus test, I think, for impeachment is when it gets to the point where Lindsey Graham decides he has to walk to the White House and convince Trump to get the heck out. That's probably when we're going to see.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
that will be an amazing day.
Remember, we never impeached Nixon.
Of course.
And we did impeach Clinton, and that was way premature.
This president probably won't be impeached either, I would tell you.
He may not.
I would tell you, he's probably going to bounce. We're going to get to these comments in a second. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
What was the most striking moment to you, or what resonated most to you in Wednesday's hearings?
Well, what resonated most, I guess, to me is I do want to know now much more about the Roger Stone thing.
Okay.
I really do. Because I didn't realize that he had heard him on speakerphone. And so that may really, if that's true.
Well, that takes us to another
Now,
level.
he has also said that Roger Stone was a free agent, and he doesn't think he was basically working for Trump. He has no way to know that. Because Trump, like any good mobster, and he is a mobster, I mean, we've basically heard that now. So Trump, like any good mobster, is going to keep people separated.
Of course.
And only give an individual the knowledge that they need, right?
Right.
And so he may well have had Stone on the hook, and Cohen wouldn't know. So I don't believe it all. I mean, he's the kind of man, you know, for all of his bluster on television of you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. He doesn't like to fire anybody. He has other people do it.
He's not confrontational.
He has other people fire people.
Right.
And then what we've seen is then he gets, you know, if he gets a call from someone like Omarosa or whoever it was, he gets a call from someone. Oh, my God.
I'm so sorry.
I had no idea.
I thought you're doing a great job. This says, you know what? Now, obviously,
such full of
before we do this, you and I, we talk a little bit about about these events and stuff like
Yeah.
that as we prep. But there was one thing I did not talk to you about intentionally as we prepared.
Okay.
And it's the thing that was the most striking to me, and it's going to answer James Farr's question, which you just asked.
Okay. Well, you want to say what James Farr's question is?
You'll know when I bring it up.
Okay.
And if you look up there, you'll know the one I'm going to bring up. You probably know it by now.
Okay.
This showed just how out of touch the GOP is. So Michael Cohen says he's a racist. Mm-hmm. And your response is, I'm going to have this black woman stand behind me, and I'm going to say, hey, she works for Donald Trump, and she likes him, so he can't possibly be a racist. That's the
insane.
Dumbest.
I know.
That in itself is racist.
I know.
That in itself.
That's absolutely racist, yes.
Is, you can't even quantify it. It's so damn stupid.
That's right.
That's what you just call it. It's just so damn stupid that he should have just been smacked upside the head. That's the response to that. Is just smack him upside the head and like, what in the hell were you thinking when you did this? And then later when a congressman says, okay, this was a racist act. She didn't directly call him a racist. She should have. And he starts saying, I defended you, Cummings, defend me, and this. And what do we find out the next day? Did you see the tape? Where he said he was going to make sure Barack Obama was sent back to Kenya or wherever he was from?
No, I didn't see the tape.
Yeah. He's been saying all the racist crap all along.
Of course. Well,
so when we hear how much the
has.
GOP has changed, and it's the same. It's the same old mess that it's always been.
And when he said, what was the other quote? That he's never seen a country run by a black person that isn't a shithole.
Yeah.
And who was running our country at that time?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
Anybody asking why don't they act on this information or why didn't they ask about the evidence? Because Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, the Freedom Caucus, they are exactly like Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
They are a bunch of damn racists who don't want their racist guy with his sheet over his head run out of the White House.
Well, they're even worse.
That's why.
But they're even worse because they have no convictions of their own.
Well, yeah, because they co-sign on it.
All they're doing is feeding the beast right now.
Exactly.
And the problem is that the display that they put on Wednesday, I didn't see, none of us saw yesterday, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the display they put on Wednesday, I defy any Republican out there to defend it.
You can't.
You can't. And the point is, and Chris Christie actually was interviewed and made a very interesting point in a somewhat different way than I would, but he made a very interesting point. Not one of them defended Donald Trump.
No.
Not one of them actually cross-examined
at all
Michael Cohen. I mean, there were lawyers out there. They could have well said, ask questions about the check, and how do you know that it was this, and how do you know that there isn't a retainer agreement? You could have actually whittled down his story as a lawyer would, right?
Or at least ask, how much did you give Stormy Daniels? Did you give her $35,000 to equal the amount of the check? Or how much did you give her in total?
Well, he gave her $130,000. We know that.
Ask something. Ask some question.
Ask something. Question the credibility by questioning the evidence. But instead, it was ludicrous. I mean, you can't just keep saying, well, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar, because then you see what happens is I want to put them under oath, and I want to ask them one question, which is, yes, Michael Cohen may be a liar, right? Do you believe that Donald Trump tells the truth?
That's all it is to it.
Because then it's a liar against a liar. That's all you've got then, right? And they still haven't won. But they're defending this person who has told, according to supposedly objective fact checkers, over 9,000 lies since he's been in office.
Damn, that's a whole lot of lies, right? 9,000?
That's the latest figure.
Wow. Let me ask you this question from James Farr.
Sure.
So will Cohen's testimony lead to the impeachment of 45?
Okay, we don't know yet. This is a very easy one to answer, right? In my opinion, impeachment has already begun. Let me explain.
So the process is
let
not
me
the process.
explain what I
Okay.
mean by that. In every other case, you had in the Nixon case, you had this. It was called the Select Committee to investigate Watergate, and it was a bipartisan committee, right? And their job was the only difference was it wasn't a standing committee. That was their job.
Okay.
Then in the House, I believe it was not a special committee. It was the Judiciary Committee, and Peter Rodino was the head of the House
You are correct on that.
Judiciary Committee, and he began an investigative process. The only difference is they drew up articles of impeachment first.
As they investigate it.
Right. Here, they're not drawing up articles of impeachment, but they're doing the same work. They're bringing in the witnesses. They're looking for evidence. Once Mueller reports, they will either know that they have grounds for Mueller or that they have to dig more. They're going to know one or the other, but the fact is the process of building a case that ultimately leads to 19. See, this is what it has to lead to, guys. This is what people, I think, are losing. Impeachment does not mean removal. Impeachment is the word that the Congress uses basically for indictment.
Right.
We're saying we're charging you with these things.
We're placing you on trial.
After that, there has to be a trial. And the trial is in the Senate. And it's not a unanimous verdict like it has to be from a jury, but you need 2/3 of the Senate. That's what made the Clinton impeachment so ludicrous, because they knew from the beginning
They had no chance of
that they
removing
had
him
no
from
chance
office.
of removing Clinton.
Yeah.
It was totally political theater. That's what the Democrats are trying to avoid.
So they're trying to get all their ducks in a row before they move forward.
Absolutely. And believe me, if they get them in a row,
They'll jump to go
and
for
if
it.
they have the patterns, and if they have the case, and I think they're very close to having the case, but they have to work at it harder, then the next step then is to convince the Republicans in the Senate so that when you go there, you know it's a done deal. And the thing with Nancy Pelosi is she doesn't do anything unless it's a done deal.
Okay.
Right? She doesn't. I mean, there's a really good chance that the bill about the emergency declaration is going to pass the Senate and end up on the president's desk. Because I don't know she would have carried it forward if it wasn't.
I'm going to tell you something interesting that I did see on Amazon. Somebody sent me a link to before I came over here. It said the Mueller report on Amazon. The author was the Justice Department, with a foreword by Alan Dershowitz, and the date of its availability on Amazon was March 26. Now, I kept looking at it to see if it was an author or maybe somebody was writing a book,
Yeah.
but it appears to be that they're claiming that the real report will be available on March 26 on Amazon.
Okay. The problem I have with that is it would never be
Of
Alan
course.
Dershowitz doing the foreword.
Well, unless he took it and added a forward to it and then analyzed
he
it.
wouldn't have it. Why would he? How would Alan Dershowitz
That would be my
have
question
it?
for you. If we get there and it's released right before then and it's at that time,
Yeah.
then we will have another conversation. Now, what this thing is, I don't know. Why he would write a forward to it, I have no idea.
My guess is it's trashing the Mueller report.
It's something for you to check out.
That's my guess.
Of
My
course.
guess is it's something trashing the Mueller report. But I will check
Check it out. Let me know what you think.
I will do that. And by the way, there are several ways to watch our show. You can see past episodes on our YouTube channel, on Pasadena Media's YouTube channel. You can keep up to date by liking our Facebook page.
Share it.
At NewsRappas. Is that how it's spelled?
That's how it's spelled.
Okay. NewsRappas. RAPPAS.
I don't think it's supposed to sound like that, but that's how it's
Well, that's how it's spelled, unless it's news.
NewsRap.
Oh, NewsRap pass. Okay. Looked like NewsRappers to me, and I thought that was very strange.
All right. It wasn't supposed to sound like that.
Okay, I thought it was very strange.
I'm glad they bailed you out because I was going to let you go for a little while. With
So
that one
no,
before I said something.
don't let me hang out on that one. Okay, and watch on the Arroyo channel, Charter Channel 32 or AT&T Channel 99, and join the conversation.
That's right. Tell
on
your friends
Facebook.
about it. Tell your friends about it.
So come talk with us. Do we have any more comments?
Locally, what do you think about the review and finding of the J.R. Thomas and PPD use of force and recommendations? It's ironic that I can even see that my eyes are so
It
bad.
is,
And
because I can't see that at all.
You know what? It's exactly what I expected it to be.
Okay, why don't we get into that after we see the news brief,
Let's
which
check
will
them
have
out.
some local news. Okay.
Former PPD Lieutenant Vasken Gourdikian was sentenced Monday, February 25th to a year and a day in prison and fined $10,000 for illegally selling over 100 guns. One of the firearms was reported as being found at a crime scene but was not used in any crime. Gourdikian will spend 1 year on supervised release following his prison term. KMBC quoted Gourdikian's lawyer, who said the public was never in any danger at all, and if he'd paid $25 for a license, he could have sold the firearms lawfully. LA County 5th District Supervisor Catherine Barger was in our studios for an interview on Impact Pasadena with Hoyt Hillsman, where she spoke about some of the issues that fall under her jurisdiction, including the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and some of the challenges facing the agency.
I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the issues around the sheriff lately.
As far as the sheriff goes, he's an elected official. He's held accountable to voters just like I am, and he can hire and fire. What made this one different is that this was a sheriff deputy that had been fired, went through the civil service process, which tends to be more sympathetic to the employee.
The interview will air on Thursday, March 7th at 6 p.m. on the Arroyo channel. In the push to 2020, several Democratic candidates have brought up the need to look at reparations for descendants of slaves in the United States.
What is your position on reparations to the descendants of slaves?
Well, as I just indicated, there are massive disparities that must be addressed.
So what is your position specifically on reparations? I asked the question because Elizabeth Warren, Julian Castro, they've indicated they want
what does
to
that mean? What do they mean?
For some black voters, this issue is emerging as a litmus test for whether Democratic candidates are worthy of endorsement. Some prominent candidates have shied away from endorsing the movement in recent interviews.
Do you support reparations for black people?
We had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. The reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
You know, can we go back to just that reparations part? And I know it may take you guys a few seconds just to cue that part up. A couple of things I wanted to touch on there.
Okay.
But while they do that, your thoughts on reparations, or should I start?
Well, first of all, I don't think anyone is proposing reparations the way I think of reparations.
Okay. How do you think of reparations?
Cash payments.
Okay.
Money. That's how I think of reparations. And I don't hear anybody saying that we should give money.
Man, you're disappointing a whole lot of brothers right now.
I know.
Tell them that they're not
I don't
gonna
hear anyone
get
saying
paid.
that. What I am hearing is much more along the lines of, for lack of a better term, and I may be using the wrong term, affirmative action policies. In
Okay.
other words, affirmative redress of the injustices that have happened, but not by giving a cash payment, by giving a boost to underdeveloped areas,
Okay.
By giving a boost to perhaps some economic help. That would be targeted
historically
to
black colleges,
that would be
that kind of thing.
Targeted to black. Yes.
Okay.
I think that's where they're going when they talk about reparations, because I don't hear anybody saying, your check's in the mail.
Now, you've summed up that issue better than everybody they just showed. Speak.
Well,
because nobody said a damn thing. I mean,
well, of course, I'm not running for office.
Well, maybe you should. And if they get the clip up,
been there, done that.
Bernie's. if they get the clip back up, Bernie's rocking back and forth.
Several Democratic candidates have brought up the need to look at reparations.
I'll tell you to freeze it in a second.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Freeze it on the different clips, the different stories. Okay,
Freeze.
back. Okay.
Right there.
Okay, 2020 Democrats
Say
say
yes.
yes, so she's not really backing off.
Right. So
but remain vague on details,
Okay,
right?
go for it.
Black critics of Kamala Harris and Cory Booker push back against claims that they're Russian bots. Okay, I didn't know about that one. And it's not whether. Okay. All right.
Now, I'm going to say this about Kamala Harris. The
Okay.
tone she took there is the tone I need to see a little bit more of every now and then.
Okay.
Because the tone she took there, I'm not saying what she said, I'm saying the tone, the cadence. It showed me some of that blackness that people have questioned.
Okay.
And I need to see a little bit more. Now, everybody's going to go, well, she's not just running for black people. That's going to be a big part of her base.
It's going to be a big part of any Democrat's
Which,
base.
when Barack Obama started talking about the okey doke, things like that, he knew exactly who he was talking to. The fist bump, he knew exactly who he was talking to. You got to show some of that to appeal to black people.
Okay, let me ask
Simple
you
as
a
that.
very tough
Now,
Let
hang
me
on.
ask a very
My next
tough
point.
question. Okay.
I know before I said that she was my choice, she is quickly losing that privilege.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, ask me your very tough question.
It's a very tough question, and the question is, and I'm asking this sincerely and not
Come on, man. You don't have to put up some
because
kind of
I don't know the answer.
Don't put up a disclaimer. Ask a question.
Do you feel that the black voter is going to be more likely to vote for one of the black candidates than a progressive white candidate?
Yes. Right now, I think.
So that gives. So if you look at the demographics.
Right now.
If you look at the demographics of the party, that means that Harris and Booker.
Not Booker, though.
Why not?
That's why I paused.
Okay.
Booker's not saying anything. Booker's saying we need a kumbaya moment.
Right.
Nobody black is trying to hear that right now.
Okay.
Quite honestly. That's just where it is.
So can Kamala Harris win with the predominantly black vote? It seems to me demographically.
Well, that's
she
not
can.
the only vote. That's not the only
But
vote.
it seems demographically she can.
She could, but that's not the only vote she's going to have to chase. She's going to have to also chase. Her whole thing when she came in, she was supposed to kind of encapsulate the woman,
Right.
which she is, the black vote, the progressive vote. So she was supposed to kind of merge all these things together.
Yeah.
She's losing that progressive thing, obviously. You and I have both seen that. The black thing has become an issue and has been questioned.
Yeah.
And now there are enough other women who are in this race so that then if that's all that she has is that, okay, I'm the female candidate, then she may not be strong enough just to carry that.
So where do you think that leaves Warren?
I think Warren...
Can she get black votes?
Right now?
Yeah.
No. She's going to have to. She's going to have to address.
Because she did. I mean, she
Of course.
was very, very
Of
strong
course.
in Massachusetts getting
Of
the
course,
black
but I
vote.
mean nationwide.
Yeah.
She's going to have to address some issues that may be uncomfortable for her to talk about, and not because she doesn't agree with those issues, but it just would be uncomfortable for anybody to talk about those issues like police violence.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Inequality. She's going to have to address
Well,
those.
she's talked about them.
But
though.
I'm not saying she hasn't, but whoever gets that vote has to
Yeah.
come across authentic when they discuss that issue.
And there's a certain irony because it's easier, in my opinion, it's easier for a white person to talk about those issues than it is for a black person.
Depends on the black person. I mean, Barack Obama could do it, but Al Sharpton couldn't.
But he didn't.
Because he didn't have to. But he did have to write a speech about race.
Yes, ultimately.
Ultimately. And he even said, they're going to make me write a speech about race. And he knocked it out of the park because they pushed him in that direction. He didn't want to go in that direction, but he was pushed in that direction.
There are a couple of books about identity politics, and one of them made the point that Barack Obama had people who ultimately voted for Trump. And the question was why, right? Why would Barack Obama have people that voted for Trump? And the answer was that he was less scary as a black person.
So we got to the point where a white woman was more scared
talking kumbaya
than a white woman.
Than a white woman who was saying we have problems with racial inequality. So the question, that's why I say it in some ways, it's harder for a black person to take on those issues directly and still gets the support they need to win a primary.
I agree and I disagree. And
Okay.
I think I agree with you that statistically you are correct.
Yeah.
But my heart says that we have had Jackie Robinson break the color barrier. Excuse me. Now I need to see Muhammad Ali.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now I need to see somebody who is going to ignite the base in a different direction.
Right.
And that may not be popular at first, like Cassius Clay was not.
Right.
But in a very short amount of time, he ignited young people who didn't have a voice before.
So who's the Muhammad Ali now?
I'm not ready to proclaim anybody at this point. Somebody's got to show me something.
Yeah.
So that's where it is.
Great point.
Yeah. I can bring them out.
I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah,
That's
I can bring them out, man.
That's a great point. That really is. Well, we didn't get to Gourdikian. Shall we talk about it on our Facebook segment?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. We're going to talk about local things, Gourdikian and Gordo and stuff like that. So stay with us. Don't go away. Keep your comments coming. We'll be right back. But right now, we're going off the stream. So I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman.
And this is NewsRap, live at 5. See you in a few minutes, or a few seconds, actually.